Hello everybody, sorry I couldn't be there today and tomorrow. I'm having a good time in Chicago. I'm learning all about how to be a great and wonderful teacher, and I'm seeing my friend from high school, so it's good time. Okay, so what we talked about yesterday was the school issue essay, which is the first real sort of major essay that you have coming up in this class. Okay. This video is operating under the assumption that everybody has a topic, so if you don't, I highly encourage you, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, to find one immediately. Talk with your friends, have them help you get one, look online, okay? Figure out what bothers you about this school. I don't know if it's too incredibly difficult, because the other day when you had the rant time, there was a lot of ranting going on, okay? But I'm just going to show you the next step, all right? Because I'm not just going to have you draft an essay, hand it to me, turn it in, and ooh, yay, this is sort of okay-ish. No, we're going to go through a step-by-step process. And the first process is to kind of do what we did for the candy debate. Okay, you need to figure out in your topic, what are the most major issues? Okay, what are your strongest arguments? Okay, because this paper, not only is it sort of arguing against negative things, but it's persuading people to change things for in positive ways. Okay, so it's a mix of sort of the satire thing where you're presenting a problem, you're presenting solutions to the problem, but it's also a mix of the debate where you have arguments that you need to present for your issue. Okay, so in order to not give somebody a free topic, I chose the topic that school should start 2 hours later than it does. So instead of 7:40, maybe 9:40, or even just 10 o'clock if you wanted to round it out. Okay. And what you need to do is you need to make a list of your 5 strongest arguments for your proposal. My proposals start class 2 hours later, and here's why I think we should. Okay, first of all, imagine I'm 16 years old, it's first hour of the day, 7:40 a.m., and everybody in class is dead. Okay, the teacher's dead, everybody else is dead. Everybody's a zombie. Okay, at 7:40 a.m. Okay, and science has proven, and it's all over the internet and studies, wherever, that teenagers need a ton of sleep. I'm 16 years old, so my first argument would be teenagers need between 8 and 9 hours of sleep. Okay. Teenagers need between 8 and 9 hours of sleep. And that's just to function, okay, to be ready, awake, alert, prepared, okay, not including all of the mental taxation that school takes. All right? Number 2. Why else should school start later? Well, when you are mentally alert and untaxed and you're feeling well, that decreases mental health issues in teenagers and in everybody. Okay, you know, on weekends, if you get a great night's sleep and you slept in until like 10, 11 in the morning, you feel energized, you feel more positive, you feel more alert, okay? And if your parents are anything like my parents, they might say things like, how come there are all these mental health issues for teenagers these days? We were never like that as teenagers, blah, blah, blah. Well, as people have pointed out in their writer's notebooks, teenagers do have more pressure put on them, okay? When my parents were kids, were teenagers in the early 70s, basically the only expectations of them were to go to school, maybe have a part-time job, okay? And if you wanted to run track, that would be fine. If you want to play football, okay, but that was really it. Now, with society encouraging everybody to go to college and the competitiveness for college, to be as high as it is. You all need several extracurriculars, 3, 4 sports. You need jobs, because maybe, society thinks you need a better work ethic. I don't know. I'm not here to go on a big political, societal rant. I'm just saying that in my paper, those might be some bits of evidence and support I might use for my second point. Okay? Thirdly, what else? Well, if I was 16 years old and I cared for the adults around me, maybe I would say that if teachers still arrived at similar times, or maybe just even a little bit later, because adults, we should get more sleep, but we don't need as much as growing kids. Teachers, teachers could have more time to prepare for their first classes. If there's anything you should know about Mrs. Canny, it's that I will do anything to get as much sleep as possible. You will never see me waking up at 4:30 in the morning for anything. If school starting at 5:30, and they're like, Mrs. Canny, you need to start waking up at 4:30, coming in to be here at 5:30, I'd be like, I'm looking for a new job now, okay? But because of that, because there are people who just don't or won't or can't wake up at, ungodly hours like 4:35 in the morning, then they don't have a ton of time to prepare for their first few classes. I know teachers like, Winquist and Cruza, they wake up at those times and that's fine for them. And they do maybe have more time to prepare, okay? But other than that, if you're not one of those people, teachers don't really have a ton of time to prepare. And if school started at 10 a.m. and let's say I woke up at 7:30, I'd be like, oh, cool, now I have at least a couple hours to do some work in the morning rather than having to take it home and take care of business until like 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. I could get it done in the morning. Okay, so this is a good strategy, right? I'm not just saying that because it's my strategy and I'm the one teaching you in this video, but if you're a teenager and you start listing the benefits for yourself, that's fine. But if you can find arguments that start to benefit more people, everybody, the people who haven't enacted this change yet, okay? If you think Mr. Tice has the power to change dress code, okay, which he doesn't, it's the bishop, all right? But if you think he did, you could say, well, changing the dress code could benefit teachers, administrators. Bless your heart if you can find a way that changing the Pacelli dress code can benefit the bishop, because then you might change it, all right? But try to find positive things for everybody, and that'll make a stronger argument. Something that is becoming more popular for schools to be concerned about is schools should start 2 hours later, because all that extra time for sleep and focus, it will increase test scores. Okay. We hear all the time about the ACT and the SAT and the PSAT and all these ACT Aspire, all these tests that they have you do. Okay, it's not just the school, it's sort of the system right now, and whether I agree with it or not is besides the point. But one measure, I guess, of sort of success for schools is how high their test scores are. And if you go to public school, it is very important, because increased test scores mean more funding. So let's say I was writing this in a public school, then maybe I would also add the amendment that increased test scores equal more money. Although that could be true for Pacelli, because if parents see that our test scores are super high, then they're like, wow, this school might be doing something right, let's send our kids here. more kids equals more tuition equals more money for things that the Pacelli school system needs. And then finally, if kids have more sleep, okay, and school starts 2 hours later, not necessarily that it ends 2 hours later, because maybe we can fit more things into that smaller space effectively, okay, but then they would have more energy for extra curriculars, okay? So you wake up at, I don't know, 5:30, 6:30 in the morning. By the time soccer or volleyball or basketball or football practice rolls around and you have like 3 hours worth of practice to go to, I mean, I assume you're probably dead, like even more dead than you were than when you came into school, okay? So you would have more energy to do those extracurriculars, and that would look good for, you know, your college aspirations or whatever have you, okay? And you know, again, in some schools, their sports, especially public schools, so their sports are also a big money-making draw. So let's say that we were a school down in Texas, and we started 2 hours later, and the football players had more energy to play football, and we started winning more games. That would be cha-ching, 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 okay? Again, you just have to keep your own school and your own goals in mind, okay? So, what I want you to do, and if I were going to make assignments in this video, which I'm going to, okay, your first piece of homework, create a 5-point, whoops, I can spell, argument list, okay, like that thing, like I just did, okay? Because if you do that, if you can find 5 things to put in an argument list like you did for the candy debate, that means, look, I have 5 body paragraphs, okay? I can make topic sentences out of each of these, okay? And then fill in the rest with facts, statistics, development, quotes, the things you need in your rubric that I showed you, okay? So take some time, create a 5-point argument list. Pause this video if you need to, and then I will continue with things you should be doing. Okay. After you've created your arguments list, because one of the requirements of this assignment is to consider what the other side has to say about it, what you need to do is now basically create a rebuttal list, all right? If you do need to convince Tice or the bishop or somebody to make a change, make the change that you are proposing, what arguments would they have against it, right? I'm going to erase my first assignment thing here. It's in the video earlier, so if you need to just rewind. Okay. Pardon me. Okay, so rebuttal. Teenagers need between 8 and 9 hours of sleep. Okay. Well, perhaps a rebuttal would be teens would get less sleep because they are starting the day later. Therefore, are finishing it and going to bed later. Okay. Basically, the argument here is, well, yeah, we can start school later, but now football practice, instead of getting done or starting at like 3:30. What time? I don't know what time your practices start. okay? But they might go later, and then a later start to your day might mean that you have more homework given to you because we didn't have time in class to do the work. So maybe you have more homework given to you. You have maybe sports pushed back a little bit, and so instead of going to bed at 10 or 11 like you might now and still getting less sleep, you might go to bed instead at midnight or 1 in the morning, and it wouldn't really make a difference, right? Decreases mental health issues, okay? This is kind of tied, I suppose, with that rebuttal. But maybe if I were doing a direct rebuttal to that, I mean, you know me, I have trouble rebutting fixing mental health issues. Okay, but maybe somebody would say, oh, I lost my train of thought. That maybe things like depression and anxiety, things like that, are chronic, not necessarily a direct result of things like this, and it means like it's a deeper problem than just sleep. Okay. I'm not saying it's a great rebuttal, okay? Obviously I'd have to do some research, hint, hint, wink, wink, on what exactly a rebuttal to that would be. But I could see somebody being like, well, if you're saying that having less sleep causes more instances of depression, well, I thought depression is like a chronic and that it was all, because of your, genetics, and that would have no bearing on how much sleep you get. I don't know. Okay, again, we'd have to research that. Teachers could have more time to prepare for their first classes. Well, maybe you think that teachers already have enough time and should do it after school, or that, maybe tired and or lazy teachers like me would just sleep in. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if school did start 2 hours later and administration said, well, you still have to be here at 7:30 while the kids are running in at 10, that could help, but I would still be tired, and maybe instead the teacher would not start working right away. Okay. Basically that argument is, well, I have to be here at 7:30, the kids have to be here at 10, I'm way too tired to deal with this right now, so maybe I'll just go on Facebook for 2 hours. Okay. Not that I would ever do that. Okay. But you could argue. Again, increasing test scores could be linked back to rebuttal number 1, is that they wouldn't actually get enough sleep, or maybe they would make the argument about like European or Japanese schools who go to school days, weekends, all year round, and at similar hours, and their test scores are still, killing us in the markets, right? So, again, and 5, once again, it kind of goes back to number 1. I mean, that would probably be your strongest rebuttal in the place where you could put more information, a longer paragraph section, and that's okay. If you have one paragraph at the beginning that's like super strong and it's most of your argument, that's fine. Okay. If you have a powerful argument, use it. Make it punch, right? But for this, maybe the argument would be that if school only started 2 hours later and didn't end 2 hours later, and kids should be getting more sleep, then maybe they would try to sign up for more extracurriculars. So instead of 3 sports, they might try to join 4 sports or something, and then the whole thing would be moot anyway. could happen, I guess, is, well, now students have 2 hours at the beginning of the day. Somebody could be a little Weasley, I guess, and be like, well, no, students have 2 hours at the beginning of the day, let's put extracurriculars before school. Okay, I could see an adult doing that, and I could see kids hopping on board with that, and then still being like, we are too tired, we have too much going on, we are too stressed, and it would just be people taking advantage of people and people taking advantage of new schedules, and nothing would really change. I could see that happen. All right. So, assignment number 2. Okay, you've created 5 arguments. What I need you to do is create 5 rebuttals for those arguments. All right.